Today, my beautiful people, today is gonna be an interesting day. The San Jose Sharks are playoff bound yet again. 53 wins on the season. 9 out of our last 10 things were looking good after we surged back to take the top spot in the division, although it's all going to come down to this game against the Vegas Golden Knights. Everything was looking good until Erik Karlsson broke his leg. He is going to be out for the duration of the playoffs, which perhaps is fitting. I'm not really sure. It's devastating regardless. This team, of course, we will be taking a look at the stats and everything in a moment once we sim this final game. This team, as good as advertised in the regular season, especially the addition of Vitaly Kravtsov. But the question is, defensively, who do we go with? And while I wanted to go with Tim Heed, it didn't make much sense to. This is the defense as it stands, as we're going to be heading into Game 82. And the playoffs, again, we do not yet know who we're going to be playing. The reason why it's set up this way is not exclusively for the +5 between Foligno and Chabot, although that does help. Foligno's been very good on the third pairing next to Benin for this season, but we called up Ariel Houston, and really it comes down to the fact that I like having the balance of two-way defensemen for the penalty kill. I feel like it helps a lot. And unfortunately, if I want two-way defensemen, we kind of have to go with these two, and we kind of have to go with them as a pairing on the third pairing, because otherwise it's a minus. So it's kind of tough. I could have Tim Heed as a two-way and have Darnell Nurse as a defensive defenseman, but ultimately we have DFD, OFD for the first two pairings, and then the two-way defensemen. Whether or not that's ultimately the best way to go about things, time will tell. Heed is still there as a backup option, but we gave Houston one more season down in the AHL, as a lot of you guys just felt like he wasn't necessarily ready, and I mean, he's been okay in the AHL. Whether or not he's going to be able to step in, we'll see. A lot of hits, blocks a lot of shots, and he's playing next to Matthew Benin, who has been pretty damn solid, albeit not a prolific point getter. We picked up Thomas Chabot in this past offseason, knowing that he was going to be the Karlsson replacement. Turns out he's going to be the Karlsson replacement just a little bit quicker than any of us thought. So, no pressure for one hot Sam Baccio. Now, the good thing is with this team, again, everything's really firing on all cylinders. The power play, it is different. We're going to be relying on third liners like Foudy, Perfetti, and Ellison a little bit more rather than defensemen, and also having Riley Tufte on the power play. But that top unit is ridiculous. The only reason that Dylan Gambrell is on the top unit over Kravtsov is handedness, which doesn't matter. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. But I mean, it's not as if with Sillinger and Kravtsov, who have both done very well this season, it's not as if they're going to, fail to put up points. And then, of course, there's Henrik Gustafsson. Now, before... I got to keep clearing my throat, I'm sorry. Before we take a look at the stats, we have one game left. And it may ultimately be for the division title. The Golden Knights have a game at hand. I don't know if they play today or if they play the day after. We might know what their point total is after Game 81. There is a chance here that if they do play here on the 5th and lose, we've already clinched the division title. Let's find out. We did not. The winner of this game, Game 82, the winner of this game will win the division title, and they will take on either the Winnipeg Jets or the Arizona Coyotes, maybe an outside chance of it being the LA Kings. The loser of this series plays the Vancouver Canucks, a team that we lost to in convincing fashion in the second round not all that long ago. How good are we going to be without Erik Karlsson? Can we complete this comeback and steal away yet another division title for a team that has probably already eclipsed all other teams in this channel's history in terms of regular season success without postseason success. We have been dominant. And it all comes down to this to determine the seeding, and ultimately could be determining our destiny as far as who we end up scoring off against. So here we go. First period of Game 82, and a 1-0 lead for the Golden Knights. Mark Stone on the power play. They had the edge in shots as well. Second period, 3-1 for the Golden Knights. Timo Meier scores. That's not the goalie I wanted to see giving us trouble. Joe Ciccone and William Karlsson make it 3-1. 21 shots to 18. And from the looks of it, the Vegas Golden Knights are going to be the #1 team. Reynolds scores. Barring a ridiculous comeback, it's happened before between these two teams, but barring a ridiculous comeback, we are going to finish as the 2nd seed, and we get a rematch against the Canucks. Not the performance that we needed. The loss of Erik Karlsson, and maybe just too many defensive shufflings, cost us this game. Golden Knights take the division title, and with it, perhaps a curse. 4-2 final, as they win the final 2 games that they had to win. And obviously, it's frustrating to get stopped by a goalie of that caliber. But there you go. 109 points. The Canucks await. It's a rematch with Vancouver. And we are without Erik Karlsson. This year, I mean, the Golden Knights won the goddamn division. They won the conference. We were the 2nd best team in the NHL. Overtime loss is the difference maker here. We had the tiebreakers on them had we finished even in points. Goals for per game, an astonishing 3.9, which led the league, but it wasn't good enough. Our goals against average at a 2.91, which was tied for the 4th lowest. Our power play was at 29.5%, 2nd best in the league. Let me clear my throat again. Behind the Vegas Golden Knights. So their power play was crucial for them. Our penalty kill at 81.7%, 3rd best in the league. That's exactly why I did not want to change the Hannafin and Nurse player types. We also scored 7 shorthanded goals this year. In terms of the player stats, let's take a look here. We'll look at the forwards first. Timo Meier with 90 points, 39 goals, 22 of those points on the power play. Fairly ridiculous, down from the 103 that he had last year, but these last 2 seasons he has been phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. We look at the next best option, tied in points though. Tomas Hertl with 90 points this year. That is a career high. 38 goals as well, also a career high. So Hertl's approaching 1,000 career games. Vitaly Kravtsov, 2nd liner, put up 83 points and 54 goals. I love Logan Couture. We made the right call moving on from him. David Pastrnak, 83 points, 30 goal season for him. By the way, here, just to look at Kravtsov, he had 72 points last year. So, hell of a player. And then obviously David Pasternak's a little bit more of a playmaker than a pure goal scorer in the sim. That's kind of weird, but just completed his 3rd season here with the team. It is his lowest point total to date, however, and he didn't even miss any time. Cole Sillinger, finally ready for that 2nd line spot. He played next to some talented guys, but up to 72 points this season. You have Dylan Gambrell, new 2nd line center with Couture being gone. 69 points last year, 70 this year with 22 goals. We get to Cole Perfetti on the 3rd line, which I don't know if I'll remember to make a jump cut there, but I had to clear my throat. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Cole Perfetti, again, to be a 40-point guy in the 3rd line, that's all I can ask of him. Tremendous. 23 goals as well. Very happy with those numbers. Riley Tufte on the 4th line, I mean, the value for money that we just, again, 43 points and 21 goals for that. He's going to leave at the end of the season, but what a player. Jean-Luc Foudy, unfortunately, point total-wise, a little bit lower than I prefer to see from a 3rd liner, but it's forgivable. And then we have Connor Ellison, again, same thing, a little bit lower, but it's forgivable when the offense is as prolific as it is. Noah Gregor, 21 points as a 4th liner. Tremendous. Tremendous. He has been a great option for us on that 4th line for the past couple of seasons. And then Tony Heinen finally got to play, of course. 16 points on the fourth line, a little bit lower. Again, you try to get close to 20. I'm good with that as well. So no real complaints about the forwards heading into this series. And then defensively, 35-year-old Erik Karlsson is not going to be available. What is going to happen to this team without Erik Karlsson? Thomas Chabot with 55 points, 29 and 27 for Hannafin and Nurse. And then again, in terms of point production, it really wasn't there amongst defensemen, but there wasn't a ton of power play time either. So, and Ariel Houston wasn't exactly an extreme detriment to the team in that last game. Henrik Gustafsson, 907 save percentage. I can only presume that that is a solid number relative to the rest of the league, but obviously for the goalie, a goalie of that caliber, the goalie that we have, you expect a little bit better. As we ran into the buzzsaw known as Peter Reynolds in the final game of the season. He and Mark Stone worked very, very well together. Jonathan Marchessault back in Tampa. Kravtsov and Brennan Othman and Keith Pritchett all hit 50 goals this season. We take a look at the defense. It was Bowen Byram leading the way, although Erik Karlsson probably would have surpassed him and probably would have won another Norris. He still might, based off of point per game totals. And then goaltending-wise, the winningest was Henrik Gustafsson. And in terms of save percentage for starter, Carter Hart at a .912. So, anything closer to .910, the better, apparently, in terms of that being viewed as an efficient enough number. Bobby Brink, at 24 years old, is likely to win the Calder this year. So, it's playoff time. We already know who it's going to be. It's a rematch with the Canucks. Just saying that scares me. But it's a rematch with the Canucks. It's also Vegas and LA, Dallas and Anaheim, Colorado and Chicago. Over in the East, Tampa and Toronto, Montreal, Detroit, Washington and Philadelphia, Columbus and Carolina in the playoffs. You've seen our team. You know our team. What are we up against? The Vancouver Canucks. The team that beat us last year. Besser, Pettersson, and Pritchett. Pettersson, whatever the hell. And then Keith Pritchett, 2022 first overall pick, all-around machine. JT Miller, Bo Horvat, and Sven Berchke, Evander Kane, Adam Gaudette, and Niels Höglander, the defending champions, if I'm not confusing that with a different series. Thomas Tatar, Andrew Kopp, and Arturi Lehkonen. Defensively, Quinn Hughes, and Olli Levy, Chet Wu, Keandre Miller, Ryan Merkley, and Tyler Myers. The goaltender is Thatcher Demko. Colt Colson, N, and John Moore, the healthy scratches. You can see now why I was hoping to be taking on the Los Angeles Kings, who indeed made it in off of tiebreaker, because we ran into this team before. We have the edge in offense. They have the edge in defense. They would not if it wasn't for the loss of Erik Karlsson. We have the edge in all-around goaltending, and of course just in terms of the starters overalls. Question is, what's going to happen? And maybe I shouldn't be second-guessing my decision to be playing Ariel Houston. We're going to see, though. Otherwise, Tim Heed will be called upon. You guys ready for this? Because I'm not. I hope you're ready for this, because I am very, very much not. Vancouver and San Jose. Again. Will the first round struggles continue? The only time we made it out of the first round, we were stomped in 5 games by the Canucks in round 2. Here we go. Here we go. First period of game 1. And a 2-0 lead early on. Matt Benning and O'Reilly Tufte on Danil Tarasov. So Demko is out. You would assume it's an injury. And that could be a major game changer. But Matthew Benning and O'Reilly Tufte with the goals. The edge in shots. The edge on the board. As we go to the second period, where it's now 4-1. Pritchett gets a goal back for Vancouver. Hurdle again makes it a 2-goal game on the power play. And then Riley Tufte scores his second of the game. 4-1. 4-1. Save for the Leafs fans in the back. 4-1. Heading into the third period of game 1. Early power play for the Canucks. 5-on-3. We somehow kill that off. It's a Christmas miracle as we're over halfway through the 20-minute stanza. And from the looks of it, it's going to be okay. The San Jose Sharks take game 1 by the score of 4-1, a 32-save effort from Henrik Gustafsson. He leads the way. Tufte with 2 goals. He and Noah Gregor, a dangerous duo. And that is a good way to start a series and alleviate some nerves. And nerves there where Riley Tufte is efficient. Holy crap. Holy crap, Mr. Tufte. That is efficiency of the highest degree. Game 2. As it turns out, though, I am still just as nervous about. I don't really know how to feel about this, but obviously no lineup changes are needed, at least not yet. So we're going to get down to it. Although the question, Demko. I highly doubt Thatcher Demko's injured. Erik Karlsson is out for the entire playoffs. Demko, not injured. Another 1-game weird fluke injury, so we expect him to be back between the pipes for game 2. If it's Tarasov, which would be weird. Like, there's no reason for it to be Tarasov. Game 2. Can the offense show up? Can Henrik Gustafsson have a repeat performance? First period, and a 2-1 lead for Vancouver. Power play goal for Besser. Jet Wu scores 50 seconds later. Vitaly Kravtsov, though, gets us back into the game. We're outplayed, and we are trailing as a result. Second period, we are still being outplayed, and we are still trailing. Keith Pritchett scores again, and it's a 2-goal lead for Vancouver heading into the third. Our high-powered offense held to 18 shots, but they score on the 19th. Vitaly Kravtsov, his second of the game. We're back to within 1. Power play. Damn it. Power play! Come on! We're going to lose. We can't waste 2 power play chances with this high-powered offense. Thatcher Demko is going to shut us down, and this series is going to be tied at 1 game apiece. Or not, says Vitaly Kravtsov. The hat trick. We're going to overtime. 42 seconds left in the period. We are tied and going to overtime here in game 2. A furious pace in that third period to up the shot count to what it is. Whoo, boy. I don't dare guess who's going to score the winner. And again, jumping into it's reserved for elimination games. Who says 4 for Kravtsov? Here we go. Overtime. Game 2. Is the comeback all for naught, or can we steal away a game in this series? Power play, please. No. Yes. Never mind. Yes. David Pastrnak. The Sharks come back from 3-1 down to beat the Canucks in game 2. And we have a 2-0 series lead. Vitaly Kravtsov with the hat trick. David Pastrnak, the overtime hero. And the Sharks have something that we did not have in that series against the Canucks before, and that is a second wind. A win and a wind. We dominated the Canucks in the third period. 6 shots apiece in the overtime, but we had the difference maker. And we somehow escape San Jose with 2 wins out of 2 as we get ready to head to Vancouver. Unfortunately, the AHL team did not make the playoffs, which is fine. Would have been better if they did, though, with some of the younger players that we have, but it's all well and good. Game 3. You ready? I don't know if I am. Here we go. Game 3. Let's see what happens. First period, 1-0 Vancouver. JT Miller on the power play. They had 10 more shots than we did, so trailing, and deservedly so. Second period. Okay. Eliasson's in. Okay. If Demko gets quote-unquote injured but doesn't miss any time, and then Gustafsson gets injured and then actually misses time, this team is cursed. Höglander and Gaudette, it's 3-0 Vancouver as we go to the third period. It is now 4. This game is absolutely over. Power play for the Canucks goes to waste. But this is all for naught. It's just not happening. Nope. Thatcher Demko. 31 save shutout in Game 3. The home team trend begins. Or not. Daniil Tarasov. Did both starting goalies get injured? What the hell just happened? Demko played 8 minutes and then was pulled or hurt. Gustafsson played 15 and a half and then was out of there. What the hell just happened? I want to cry. Henrik Gustafsson's hurt and will be out for the remainder of this series, from what I can tell. I can't see the date in the top right-hand corner. Please tell me the date. Does it not tell me when I'm in the edit line screen? Son of a bitch. And now the question is, Alexeyev or Eliasson? What's the date, for the love of God? What is the date? It's the 13th. Okay. He's going to miss the next 2 games. The only way we see Gustafsson in this series again is if this goes to Game 6. The big question here is Thatcher Demko hurt as well. Oh my God, not like this. Demko's not hurt. Demko's been hurt twice and stayed fine, but I do lose Gustafsson. That's outrageous. Not to mention the fact that Daniil friggin' Tarasov is shutting down this super-powered offense. It's only been 3 games, but you can understand my concern given the history. Tarasov is a 79 overall goalie who has a .950 save percentage. You can understand my concerns. I don't know who starts Game 4. I don't know. Timo Meier needs to wake the hell up. I don't know if I'm waiting. I don't want to wait. He gets one more game. He needs to wake up. But he gets one more game. Jesper Eliasson had a .903. He had that one really good season. Where we go with Vyacheslav Alexeyev, who was miserable at the NHL level and meh at the AHL level. It's going to be Eliasson who gets the start in this oh-so-important Game 4. Either this series will be tied or we'll have a chance to close out this series in Game 5 in our own barn. Let's do it. First period, 1 goal apiece. Bo Horvat on the power play and David Pastrnak with the late goal. They outshot us 13-3. What the hell happened to the league's best offense? Why is it that in the playoffs, every time we get shut down? Riddle me that. Second period. Thank God. Look what happens when we get shots. Tomas Hertl on the power play. Darnell Nurse scores as well. 17 shots to 16. But thankfully, efficiency rules. 3-1. Heading into the final 20 minutes of regulation. Let's do this. What the hell is this outcome going to be? Extended power play goes to waste, as they typically do when we go with the old slow sim. And Jean-Luc Foudy makes it 4. Power play for the Canucks goes to waste, and abbreviated power play for us. Nothing doing there. Power play again for Vancouver. 3 minutes left. The San Jose Sharks have a 3-1 series lead over the Canucks, despite injuries to our starting goaltender and Erik frickin' Karlsson. Jesper Eliasson, 28 saves. Hertl and Foudy, 2 points each. We storm back. We were outshot 13-3. We outshot them 13-4. It was a slugfest in the third period, but we made the most of our chances. And we are 1 win away from making it to the second round for just the second time in this series. 3 opportunities to close this shit down. Meyer at least picked up an assist in the last game. He's safe. Defensively, we're good to go. The team stays. Game 5. As the Golden Knights are down to the Kings. Game 5. Not that it's unheard of for LA to be the 8th seed and then storm their way to a Stanley Cup. First period. Let's see what happens. Oh my god. Tomas Hertl, Vitaly Kravtsov, and Toni Heinonen. 3-0 San Jose. At the end of the first period, 17 shots to 11, and 3 of those 17 make their way past Demko. Second period, 4-2. 2 power play goals. Quinn Hughes and Keith Pritchett. Pasternak scores again. It's on Alexiev because what the hell? It shouldn't have put him in by default, but regardless, whatever. We go to the third. We're up by 2. 20 minutes away from the goddamn second round. And what could be our first of 3 potential opportunities to close out the series. Jean-Luc Foudy makes it 5. Come on. Come on. Yes, Ellison! Holy shit. For just the second time in this series, I'm calling it now. Screw you, Evander. The San Jose Sharks are going to the second round. Hot Sam Bacho, the empty netter. 7-3 in Game 5. Who needs a starting goaltender? Who needs Erik Karlsson? Multiple time Norris winner. We get our revenge. We beat the Canucks in 5 games. And we will be playing either the LA Kings or the Vegas Golden Knights in round 2. Good God. Timo Meyer starts scoring goals next round. Hertl is great. Pasta's great. Kravtsov's great. He could be a little bit better. Perfetti, Ellison, Foudy, Jean-Luc Foudy. Just big chef's kiss to that. Big fan of the Foudy. Jean-Luc, I'm sorry. Fourth line, Riley Tufte, Gregor, and Heinonen. A bit rough defensively, but they scored some pretty big goals. And then defensively, Foligno hanging in there next to Hot Sam Bacho. Houston was amazing next to Matthew Benin. And then it was Hannafin and Nurse, who just weren't quite working well together, but they worked out well enough. Eliasson, tremendous. Alexiev, not so much, but we survived. Again without Karlsson and without Henrik Gustafsson, who was phenomenal when he played. We're on to round 2. Oh, God, we're going to the second round. Are we playing the Kings? Or are we playing the Knights? We're going to find out right here. Can the Kings clinch it? It's going 7. Either we're playing the Vegas Golden Knights in an absolute slugfest between the top 2 teams in the NHL, or we'll be playing the 8th seed Los Angeles Kings in round 2. All right. Who's it going to be? 3, 2, 1.